And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Serenissima is one of the first games I played when I started getting into this Euro game revolution. It was a big box, and it came with these little sticker flags that you had to wrap around these posts, and you put these flags into ships, and there was like 60 to 100 of these little sticker flags you'd do. It was a real pain, but it had beautiful components, a beautiful board, and it offered some things I'd never seen before, which was moving these resources around, but being able to attack other players. Well, the game slowly went out of print as the years went by, and then I heard that a reprint was being announced, and I was very excited about it. When I got the box in the mail, I was somewhat less excited because while this picture on the front cover looks really cool when you look at it close, you're like, oh, wow, that's really neat. The rest of it, the back of the box, you look at the game, you're like, oh, that doesn't look nearly as exciting. Is it the same game? Well, the answer to that is no. They've streamlined it and added in some things that we have learned since the game was designed, some mechanics that have been designed. It's almost like an evidence of growth and design in the industry. Blah, 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 blah. Is it fun? Let's look. Here's the board, which is yet another drab board of the Mediterranean. Can't we make the Mediterranean look fun? Look at the water. It looks like... Well, anyway. Okay, but the ships are really cool. It comes with these wooden ships, and you'll notice each of these ships has a matching number on it. The reason for that is each turn of the game, we're going to refer to this wheel up here in the corner. And this wheel shows us whose turn it is. And so when I have a piece, when I move this turn marker here to number 1, and the orange player, who happens to own boat number 1, will make a turn with boat number 1. Then the black player with boat 2. Then blue goes with 3 and 4, 5 and 6. And as players purchase boats, they can pick the numbers of the boats they purchase as time goes by. They'll get more turns. So each turn, every boat gets to move once. Now, you do not have to move a boat once. On a turn boat movie, you can basically say, I'm not going to use this boat this turn. And said I'm going to buy more sailors, or I'm going to buy forts to upgrade my defense in a city, or I'm going to put a cathedral there, which will give me more money every time that scoring happens. Now, each player is going to start with a port, and each port that they start with produces wood, but as time goes by, you'll be able to take other ports, and to show that you own a port, you'll just take the card of that port and put it in front of you. Now, the ports will have boats moving around them, and in these boats you'll be filling them with sailors and or goods. You can pick up goods from your own port for free, at least one of them, and you can pick up goods from other people's ports as long as you pay them for that, and you can pick up goods from neutral point ports. You'll want to do that because you want to sell these goods at other ports. So I might take one of these wines and bring it down here and sell it to Corfu, and the first good here sells for 2 coins at this port, and so I would want to do that. And then the next good will sell for 3 and 4. Goods have to be different. So, you know, for example, if you have a boatload of wood, you're going to have to stop at many different ports to drop that off. And, you know, if you sell to your own port, you won't get money from it. You just fill up your port, which is something that you might want to do. Ships can have a whole lot of goods in them, if you'd like. But the problem is, if another ship has more sailors than you, they can blockade you. You can move faster. You get to move 1 space for each sailor in your boat. And you can fight one another. When fighting, you will roll these dice here. Each skull that's rolled is a kill of a sailor on the opposing boat. Unfortunately, attackers don't have a great advantage because they roll dice equal to the number of sailors minus the number of spaces they cross to get to that spot. And as your sailors get killed, you become weaker and weaker, and then you can steal someone else's goods, and then you scuttle their boat. You can attack someone else's city and take that. The goods are essentially all the same, although some are rarer than others. And spice, which comes from all the way down here in Tripoli, which is where the Marines come from, or go to. And spice will sell for an extra 2 to every space. Wine will transform ports into what I call drunken ports. You know, here's Napoli without wine, and then once it has wine in it, you can turn the card over. And the reason for that is, at the end of each turn, after all the ships have gone, we're going to draw a card to see how far we move the turn marker here. The turn marker, when it gets to the end, ends the game, and when it gets to different spaces, we'll do a scoring phase. So you'll turn it over, and it'll tell you move the score marker 1, and sometimes it will tell you to move the score marker 2. Sometimes it will tell you to move the score marker 2 and reshuffle these cards. And sometimes it will say everyone who has a port with wine in it gets 3 coins. When scoring comes, you're going to score equal to the cathedrals that you've built, and you will also score points based on how full each of your ports is. For example, if I control Napoli, if I have one of my ports full, I'll get a coin. If I have 2 of them full, I'll get 2 coins. But if they're all full, I'll get 5 coins. So you can see that filling the big ports is the best thing, because look at Venezia here. If I have it all filled, it will score me 20 points. So after the final scoring of the game, we will look at all the money that we've had. And I've been saying points and money are kind of simultaneous. So you have to use your money to buy things over the game, but you really want to get as much of it as you can, because whoever has the most at the end is the winner. Okay, well, I've already established a bit that I think I like the older components better. Kind of, sort of. I like the new ships better. But the old, I don't like using cubes. Come on now. The old pieces were really nice. They had almost this gem quality to them. Oh, and the colors in the new board are a little off. Like, for example, Tripoli has a black circle on it, but they're purple goods. And wine is a resource in this game. It's a pretty big deal. And wine is pink, while most people associate wine with purple, but purple's spices. So that's minor. That's minor, but it's there. There's some good aspects to the game. I've always liked the fact that Serenissima had the ability to attack or to deliver goods. And this game has made the board better, has tightened it up so that it's attacking isn't very devastating. In the original game, you could fill up a boat with 5 pirates and just go around and just wreak havoc in people's ships. You wouldn't do that well, but then again, neither would anybody else, so you had a chance. The gameplay is essentially the same. The little rondo type thing where each ship moves in number order is a nice inspired change. The thing is, I'm done with this. I'm done with Serenissima. Serenissima is a game that I really enjoy, but playing it now, it just didn't do anything for me. They made attacking very difficult, so while attacking was a cool thing, it's so risky. I mean, it's so risky. You have no idea who's going to win any kind of battle, that you really only go into battle if you have nothing else to do, because you don't know if you're going to stop the other person. In fact, you might end up helping them because they steal your stuff off your ship. And the attacker is at a little bit of a disadvantage unless you really come in with a pile of sailors, which were expensive to begin with because you're essentially giving up points to get them. This game has been kind of copied. There's lots of games where you deliver stuff from one spot to another. The components are neat. The idea was really cool 10, 12 years ago. Now, though, I think it came out in 99, by the way, originally. Now it's showing its age, and this reprint doesn't inspire awe and awesomeness. It streamlined the game, but I think it sucked a bit of the soul out of the game as we've gone on. So I don't dislike it. It worked, but you know, I played it with some people who had never played the original one. I played with people who played the original one, and I played it with people who haven't played the original one. And the people who haven't played the original one were kind of like, huh, it was just another trading thing with this odd, wonky combat thing thrown in. And some people will hate that combat. And people who love combat will probably not be a big fan of it because it's so wild and wonky. And the whole idea of being able to have wine and the port's happier and they can produce money. And there's a lot of good features of this game, but there's such a large level of randomness that it's going to drive people crazy. The components are mediocre, which will drive other people crazy, that's myself included, that I think that has taken this game from being a possible great game to one that's just okay. And in today's grouping of gamings, we don't really have room for an okay game. So, I mean, if you get a chance to try it, go ahead. It's a classic in the genre. It fit a niche at a point in time when it came out. But if it came out today, and it has, I don't think it would do as well, and it won't. But your mileage may vary, but not for me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
You shut that door!